Welcome to the Laurent Collective podcast, where we go deeper than just surface talk.
Each week, we'll explore everything from family, business, creativity, culture, and faith.
To make sure not to miss an episode, be sure to subscribe and hop on to Instagram at Laurent Collective to chat with us about this episode.
Hello.
Hello.
We're coming to you from a new space.
A new space.
A new space. We have moved house. And so we're in a new space. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And today, as we were in a new space, we were just both chatting a little bit. And as in the United States, Thanksgiving is this week. And then, obviously Christmas and whatever, if it's Hanukkah or whatever it may be that you celebrate coming up the next month or so, it can be really hard if you can't be with your family. And so we thought we would chat with that because we, for the past 5 years, have not been with family during the holidays. Mm-hmm. And so we thought we would chat about that and just give you some ideas, really. We get this question a lot being here, and we're part of some different groups and stuff like that of people that have moved to London. And this question often comes up as well. I'll give you context in case this is the first time you're listening to us.
Yes.
We moved from the United States to London, England, over 5 years ago.
Yeah, over 5.
So we've spent 5 Christmases here. This will be our 6th.
Yeah,
one.
that's
crazy to think about that,
to
isn't
really
it?
think about that, for sure. Yeah.
And we have not, during that time, we have not flown back to the States during Christmas season, nor have we've had friends come here for Christmas. But we haven't had any family come for Christmas. Yeah,
well, and to share too, like, part of our work is during the Christmas season too. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to be away for that time. So, and
frankly, it's really cold where we're from in the States too during that time. It's usually mild-ish.
Yeah, it's not
here in London.
It doesn't get too cold. I think that's one of the misconceptions in London. It doesn't get too cold. Actually,
no, so there's something about that too that we're like, oh, but it's so cold there. But we, the first year we were here, our first Thanksgiving, for instance, as it approached and everything like that, we thought, well, first it's weird because in the United States you have off on Thanksgiving. The kids have off school. Most people have off work. On Thanksgiving and then on that Friday as well. But here, it's just like we take the kids to school like a normal day.
Well, yeah, obviously they don't celebrate this.
Yeah, they don't celebrate. Obviously, they don't celebrate it here. And so, thinking through that, so I was like, well, what do we do? Like, do we have Thanksgiving that night? I don't know what to do. I guess it's just our family. Like, I'm not sure what to do. And so we decided, that we would invite others in, that people are always actually very curious about Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I would say that's like a big thing here. They
want to know what food we eat.
They're very, very curious about Thanksgiving. And they're just so interested in the type of food that we eat. It's
more about the food. Of course, we have, lots of thoughts on what it means and what it's celebrating. So we're careful about how we do that, and we just make it a time. There's usually something that I read when we've hosted that is about just being thankful for friends and family and things in our life and really taking time to be thankful. So that's what we celebrate, and that kind of thing. And so, so the first year we thought, let's invite people in. Let's just put an invite out there and see what happens. And so I think at that time, I ordered 1 turkey, and thought we'll try it.
That should be plenty.
That should be plenty. And then, and I thought surely not that many people are actually going to be interested in that. We did it on a Friday evening instead of Thursday because that way more people could make it.
Yeah, and we ordered only 1 turkey too because most ovens here are
can barely fit it.
Very small compared to what you would maybe have in the States and things like that. So a big turkey that you can imagine typically in the States it would not fit in an oven here in London.
Yeah. So as the kind of, I'd love to join RSVP. I mean, we just, and this, our first Thanksgiving too, I should say, like we had not been living here very long. We had only been living here 5 months, maybe 6 months.
5-6 months. Yeah.
And so we didn't know that many people. It was more like maybe some neighbors, a couple people from the kids' school that we knew. And then, obviously we were part of a church community too. So it was a lot of our church community. And we thought, we want to celebrate this. Something we have always loved about Thanksgiving is just like there's lots of people, and like for us, I mean, yes, the food well, as general. I don't always love Thanksgiving food, but generally it's good. But
I love it. So good.
You love it. And so we just really wanted to invite others in and just have that same feeling. And that was important for our kids too. And so the RSVPs started rolling in, and about 30 some people said they would like to come. And I was like, one turkey's not going to cut it. And then they kept coming in because not everyone really lets you know when they're coming to things until the last minute here. We had 60 people, I think, 50 or 60. Yeah, it was a lot.
And then maybe, I don't know if that all included, that might have been just adults.
No, I think it included the kids too.
Did it?
The
okay.
kids were,
I know there was like 12 to 15
And you
kids,
have to keep in mind too, this is I think that our house at the time was like 1,100 square feet. So it's not like we have massive space to host either. And we did it at our house.
Yeah.
But we made it work. Like we just put up makeshift places for people to eat. People ate while they were sat on the sofa, like all that kind of stuff. And we clearly, I had to get another turkey, and we cooked one turkey earlier in the day and kind of like sliced it and warmed it up. And then the other turkey we cooked closer, and it was a bit of a bit crazy. And we asked people to bring some food too, which was cool because then it was like, American Thanksgiving, but then there was from all kinds of different cultures stuff that people brought as well.
Yeah, that was really fun.
And that was really fun. But I think what we're trying to say in that is like, sometimes you got to make yourself uncomfortable if you're in a new place or you're someplace where you can't get home to family. I think last year probably for all of us, and we still here don't know what Christmas is going to look like, but so many people couldn't go to their families. Here you couldn't even mingle with other families either, so we couldn't invite anybody in. But of just the importance of like creating some kind of gathering if you can't get home. And that kind of thing, if you're allowed to. I know we're in COVID times, and that kind of safely gathering.
I think for us, it was such an opportunity to invite people into who we were, so that they could continue to see even more about who we were, and we could be hospitable to them. Again, for us at that first one, only being here for a couple months, it was such a great, hopefully, I'm assuming it was a good introduction of who we were for them as we invited them into our homes. And spent some time. So again, if you're in some new place for the first time, it might be a really great opportunity to invite people into your home to really share kind of more about who you are and how you love to be hospitable to them and all that kind of stuff. That then can maybe allow relationships and things to start to go deeper, which is really cool.
And we should say it doesn't have to be 60 people.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just could be a couple.
That
for sure.
that actually hasn't happened since, because it was it was very joyful, it was also slightly stressful, and so we have tapered that down now when we've been able to have people in our home to much more manageable size,
or done like little smaller ones.
We've done like multiples. We did one year, we did one with just our neighbors, and then we did another one, we had like 2 Thanksgivings, and we had another one with a group of friends that I think it was like 10 or 15 people or something like that, so it was much smaller. But that being said, we know lots of people here that are Americans that they've just done it with like one other couple or a couple of friends or that kind of thing, that they've just done something small to still celebrate that, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's or Easter or like any of those like holiday kind of things. And I just named the Christian holidays, so all the other holidays too. But I think again, you have to go out of your way a little bit, and it's a little bit uncomfortable because you're like, I don't know if you'd want to do this thing, and just seeing if people want to do it. If you are in a place where, here and, depending where you live, of maybe you share a house with others, with flatmates or things like that, depending where you live in the world, if you live in a major city and you possibly that is the case, that you live with others. Number one, you could do something with them to get to know them better, and that's amazing. Yeah. But we know there are a lot of situations where that's really awkward too, where you really don't, frankly, we know a lot of people, you just don't know the people you live with very well. There is nothing wrong with saying, and we have had this, so many people do this to us, there's nothing wrong with letting people know that you kind of are alone on the holidays. I think that's really hard to say. But like, once people know, then that gives them an option to invite you in. Sometimes people just assume people have play. We are guilty of that. We will just assume somebody has some place to go because they haven't mentioned it and everything. Sometimes I can pick up on cues, but sometimes you just have to directly say like, and you don't have to be like, invite me to your house. I think you can say like what some people have said to us, like, oh, I don't really have anything to, a place to go for the holidays. Another thing I would say, too, is like, if you are somebody that is able to host people, of saying like, oh, what are your plans for the holidays? Because right then you're asking somebody and giving them an opportunity to say like, oh, I really don't have any, or that kind of thing, that you're giving them the opportunity to. So it goes both ways, that kind of thing. Do you have anything else to add onto that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, again, it's for us, I think when we first moved here, we, after that first Thanksgiving, we realized, at least here in London, I'm sure it's very similar in some other areas of the world and cities and different things like that. But a lot of people do go home. A lot of people leave for the holidays and different events and different traditions. We'll go home to spend time for family. A lot of times, though, there are certain people that, like you said, that's just not an opportunity for them. They just can't do it all the time. And so they are alone or they are stuck. And so I think after that first experience of Thanksgiving, we realized that there are those people, and that we wanted to be, a little bit more mindful of not necessarily seeking some of those people out, but again, picking up on those cues and things like that, of those people that might not have a place to go, and that can we create a space for that, for those people to, be a part of our traditions and our family things, and, kind of expanding our family in a sense on those holidays, because, we just want to make our home warm and welcome for people that don't necessarily have a place to go. I think that's the biggest thing we learned from that first Thanksgiving. And so we've done that. We've always
not just Thanksgiving, let's be clear. Like Christmas is
a big one. Especially here in London. It's like a ghost town here because everybody leaves the city.
Well, everybody doesn't leave. That's the problem. I think there's a perception that
everybody leaves. A lot of people do.
But there's a lot of people that don't have, it's just a lot of money for 5 of us to fly back to the United States. And so there's a lot of families that, like, no matter where they're from or things like that, like, they can't actually get physically back to their home to be with their family. And so while it is weird that, like, it feels like a ghost town because the city does go very quiet, there's also, and that's why it's hard, and that's why wherever you're living, like, that's where you have to do a bit of investigating of the people you're with. It could be even that there's like a work situation. Like, I know we're friends with some doctors and stuff like that they are on call, or maybe they're married and one person's on call and the other person's not, and that kind of thing. And then that's awkward because does that person go home to their family and then leave the other person alone on Christmas morning, or, those kinds of things. And so we've had those kinds of people come to our house, and we have the way that we have done it. If you're thinking, if you're a couple or you're a family or something, you're thinking, well, I still want to do the things with our kids that are special and all that. Like, this does not take away from that. We definitely have made it, and this is just us, but if you need an idea, we have made it so that our Christmas Eve morning is our Christmas with the kids. We did it a long time ago because of traveling when we lived in the States, traveling to families on Christmas Day and stuff like that is too much in one day. And we wanted time to just like hang out, relax, and chill.
Well, a lot of times, like, our kids would open something up on Christmas morning and not really have time to
play or anything.
Or do
we'd be like, okay, time to leave.
And then it's like, oh, that's cool. You got that. Great. Let's go.
Yeah. So because of that, we do Christmas Eve morning, and then Christmas morning, we do still, like, we do stockings and we have a little bit of, calm time in the morning. But then we, since we've moved here, we open up our house on Christmas Day to anyone that doesn't have some place to go. And it's not stressful. Like, I have come up with various things. I don't have a traditional meal that we make. It kind of depends how many people we think are going to show up. Like, one year we did what I made, like homemade fettuccine.
Yeah, so you mean, and then it was like
different toppings that you could put on, like veg, chicken, like all. It was super easy, and I just made a ton of garlic bread and a salad, and it was the easiest thing ever.
And then I think we had like snacky food.
Yeah, we had some snacky stuff because we told people, like, there's not really a set time. Like, we'll serve some dinner around this time, but we'll make sure there's leftovers. And that kind of thing. You can stop by whenever. We have had people come to our house that we don't know, that people have shared. And we've said, if you know anybody that doesn't have a place to go, like, please let them know and bring them along, or get them in touch with us and that kind of thing. And so, and it's been very chill. It has been like people playing board games, or there's Christmas movies on the TV, and literally people have napped like they would with their family. People have taken naps on our sofa on Christmas Day. And there's been, I think one time somebody visited and they wanted to make cookies with our kids, and I was like, if you can find the stuff, you can do it. Like, and they did that. And so, I mean,
and we've had even people that were like in London for like a holiday and had no place to go, and they stop by for the day, exactly. So it's just really fun.
Yeah. So it's become obviously we weren't able to do it last year because of COVID and the rules that we had here in the UK, but, that is an idea. If you are, and we've heard of families doing this in the States too, in the suburbs. It doesn't mean you have to live in a city. There are plenty of people that you may have an assumption of like, oh, they're going someplace. And again, that's where it's so great if you're in community with people to say, do you have a place to go? One of our friends, I know her family every Christmas always hosted international students, university students that were in town, and they always had their house filled with students that didn't have any place to go for Christmas because they couldn't go back, and that kind of thing. So it's just, and again, I think it's, it doesn't have to be like, make it what you want it to. We make it low. Exactly. We make it low key. Really chill, that kind of thing. But I guess you can make it fancier if you want to.
Yeah. However you love to host people, really.
But I think it's the idea of, and we probably weren't, I'll just be real, for us, we weren't as aware of this, that people may not have a place to go or people to be with on the holidays when we were living in the States.
Well, because we always had plans. So it was always like a certain routine that we did with family. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's amazing and that's great. But I think, obviously moving here has kind of opened our perspective.
Oh, it totally opened our eyes
in some ways.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that we don't miss those times with our family. Like we definitely do. It's hard, for sure. But I think, being able to be here in London and opening up our home in a unique way for people and different holidays and things like that has really taught us a lot. And it's just been really fun. So
it's just an encouragement, like we said. Ask those around you, ask those you're in community with, like this simple question: what are your plans for the holidays? And that kind of thing. And that can really, you can pick up if somebody doesn't have, something to do. And again, we make it low pressure for them too. We're like, our house is open. Like, here's kind of the general thing. Like, you can show up from this time to this time. Like, you don't have to bring anything. This is kind of what it looks like. So then people don't feel like, oh, I'm showing up for a fancy meal and all these things like that. Like, it's not like that. So I think that has helped people feel a little bit easier and calmer about it, kind of thing. And so, that's just an idea we thought, we would put out there. And if you are somebody that doesn't have someplace to go, like we said, you just have to bring it up somehow.
Right. Or, like I think we were talking before we even recorded, was just the idea of like, there's places on like Facebook and different things like that that have like, there's different groups and different things like that you can even reach out to, that there might be people in your area, especially if you're new to the area, that, you could meet up with. And
I think even if you're not new, you can go, that's such a good point. If you are on Facebook, of like, Facebook has, like we are in a couple that are like Americans in London and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And people do say, does everyone, like people, I don't have a place to go to Thanksgiving. Is anyone having a meal? Or people will say, we're hosting, would anybody like to join us? And I know there are groups like that in different places. There are even groups like that in the suburbs and stuff like that. Gosh, in the States and things. And so that is something too, if you're seeking out community, like, don't be afraid to go on those. And like, I know it's weird. It can be really weird. If you're going into a stranger's house, and since we've had strangers come into our house, and that kind of thing, like, I know that's, obviously do it in a group. Don't do a one-on-one thing if you don't know somebody, you've never met them before. But it actually has been great because some of those people have become dear friends now and stuff like that, that showed up on Christmas Day, and we were like, hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
But what a way to just have people feel welcome and, included in celebrating the holidays too.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's been such a fun opportunity for us as a family to do that, and to see how our kids interact with new people, and are seeing the idea of how to host in a unique way. Mm-hmm. Our kids, again, whether they're going to ever do this or not, they'll probably be like, oh, I'm never doing this.
Maybe.
But, you know, just to be able to see that and to be able to, to just be a part of a community that's allowing people to a space to be, especially if they feel alone or whatever, I think is such a fun opportunity for us as a family. And I hope that they're taking that in some way.
I hope so. Yeah, definitely. Well, hope is an encouragement to you to create a warm space and just a calm space for the holidays, and to ask others if they have a place to go, and if you can open it up, or be bold and say, I need a place to go.
Exactly.
There are plenty of people that would love to host you. Just like us, that there are people out there that are like, oh, join us. You don't need to be that way.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. So we hope this gives you encouragement for that, no matter what the holiday is, to just include others and to ask to be included.
Yeah.
It's Christmas season, officially, kind of, I think. And that means that you can start thinking of your gift ideas for your loved ones. And we would love for you to check out Laurent Collective for those gifting ideas. There's everything on there, from mugs to t-shirts, to tote bags, to cozy hoodies and sweatshirts, and prints for homes. And we think that you would be able to give a gift that's going to put a smile on someone's face. So head over to laurentcollective.com and check out the gift ideas we have for you. Thanks for joining us on today's episode of the Laurent Collective podcast. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to subscribe and leave a review, which helps others find our podcast. Continue the conversation with us over on Instagram at Laurent Collective.
We look forward to going deeper than just surface talk with you again next week.